from its businesses, plus our opinion leaders. This way to prosperity. How United States President Joe Biden can boost global economy as he restores American soul. For this and more stories, get your copy of the East African.
Companies are in a race to comply with the January 31st deadline for the disclosure of beneficial owners. What will be the long-term implication of the Beneficial Ownership Information Regulations of 2020? What does the law provide should one fail to comply with the regulations as published by the Attorney General? How are companies guaranteed the privacy of their information will be adhered to once the disclosure is made? In the next edition of Business Redefined, we host the Director and Head of Regulatory Compliance at PwC Kenya for this and more.
New Year comes with New Year deals. Renew your corporate subscription and get a bonus. Subscribe to Nation e-Paper for 3 months and get 1 week absolutely free. 6 months and get 2 weeks absolutely free. 1 year and get 3 weeks absolutely free. To sign up, visit epaper.nationmedia.com or email subscription@ke.nationmedia.com. Offer valid till 28th February 2021.
As a news director, you also need to put a lot of consideration when it comes to preventing the spread of the coronavirus, especially here in the all right. Yes, and I think that's what I learned. When you do get a sneeze, when you feel like coughing, take a tissue paper, put it on your mouth and in front of your nose and sneeze into it, then roll it down and throw it in a trash can.
In your paper this week, after the win, Museveni scrambles to win back Western allies and reassert legitimacy after a contested electoral win. Come, let's trade together. United Kingdom woos Africa with opportunities, deals from its businesses, plus our opinion leaders. This way to prosperity. How United States President Joe Biden can boost global economy as he restores American soul. For this and more stories, get your copy of the East African.
The top 10 hottest 254 tracks. All your requests pamoja na surprise kibao.
Mambo vipi, kama kawaida, it's your girl Adasa na niko ndani ya Kwetu Mix on NTV.
Join me, your boy Ted Agua, right here on your favorite channel.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Antenna.
Thank you for making us.
Thank you for making us your favorite drive show crew.
Nation FM, we love you.
Oh, thank you, people. This is the best I'm stitches. I got you good.
Nyinyi jamaa mmechizi yani. Tunajibamba na show yenyu. Muendelee hivyo hivyo.
I came to rap, you know, do my things,
Thank you for listening to 96.3 Nation FM.
Of course, Antona Obina.
Obina.
Call them taking control.
Mad love, mad respect. Wow, photo.
I run the city.
We are Nation, Africa's independent media brand. We are committed to empowering all Africans, from the young to the old, from the curious to the educated, and from the heart of the cities to the rural areas. We are Nation. Join us, because if you want to get far, you do it together. Nation. Empower Africa.
At this time, I want to paraphrase another text from the Old Testament, and this is Jeremiah chapter 33, verse 6. And it says that, nevertheless, I will bring health and healing to it. He was referring to the city of Jerusalem, how it was polluted, how the evils and just crowded the skies and even the streets of Jerusalem, and says, I will heal my people and will let them enjoy abundant peace and security. So God is promising restoration of his people. And I want to give you this hope of restoration, that amidst this coronavirus, God is going to heal his people. Are you infected? Are you affected in one way or another as a family, as I am talking to you today? God has promised that he will heal the land, this city. The cities of the world today are crying of COVID-19, but God is saying he will heal them, and he will heal the people and let them enjoy abundance, peace, and security.
This is NTV.
Greetings, East Africa. You are just in time for your world. Now, on this episode, we focus on the marriage institution. It has been said over and over that those who are not married want to get in, but those who are married can't wait to get out. So today we try and understand what is ailing this institution and perhaps some of the cracks that have been formed by the dynamics of modern day relationships. At the same time, we have a tribe that believes in that hashtag marriage works. So what are they doing differently, and what can we learn from them to safeguard this vital institution in society? Well, stay tuned for this and much, much more. My name is Gladys Gashanje, and this is your world. As I mentioned, we look at how marriage has been restructured in the 21st century.
Maisha naona ni mazuri na nipeleka sawa.
We revisit the story of the couple that swapped wives and are now living happily ever after.
We defeated Museveni. We defeated them.
Bobi Wine finally speaks, claiming the election was riddled with flaws. These Zechens are training dogs to sniff out coronavirus, and it seems to be working. Thank you for joining us on this broadcast. As I mentioned today, we take stock of the marriage institution. And the question of the day to you is, are you happily married? Well, whether it's yes, no, if you're not sure, share your experience with us. That hashtag is New Normal, and we'll be sampling the same even as we go on with the broadcast. And of course, if you can reach us on phone also using that number at the bottom of your screen, we can also take up a call from you. But before we get to that interesting conversation, let's take a look at the effects of COVID-19 around the world. And globally, that number this morning stands at 99,771,343 confirmed cases of COVID-19. 71,746,327 people have totally recovered from the same around the world. And out of that number, unfortunately, 2,138,965 people have succumbed to COVID-19. Now, in the country, that number stands at 99,983 confirmed cases, 82,969 recovered cases, and unfortunately, we've lost 1,744 Kenyans to COVID-19. Well, we hope that number, especially on the deaths, stays as it is, even as we all take precaution to deter the contracting COVID-19. Wear your mask, wash your hands, and remember to social distance. And as we gear on to some of the stories making headlines this morning, Kenyan Baba Onesmus Muthoi was left staring at an empty shop in 2020 as customers fled the capital Nairobi when COVID-19 arrived. It was a year that saw him struggling to find a way to survive. In South Africa, fisherwoman Fatima lost a big chunk of her income due to the decrease in exports after the pandemic hit. Here's the impact of COVID-19 through their eyes.
Actually, the situation was very tough. Remember when there was this disease of the coronavirus? Actually, the job ilikuwa too down nashika. Therefore, the situation was very tough. Actually, I hope the situation will resume normal. Hata sometimes ilikuwa hata kupata food ni normal unashika, so nakuwa tu niko struggle ndio tuone vile tutasurvive.
My life was cut down to the point of where COVID-19 started in March, and due to COVID, our quotas was also decreased from 523 to 155 per kilo per person individual. And as this is our only livelihood of income, fishing from the sea to the house to put something on the table, we were actually caught off guard this season with the cage that was decreased from our previous kilos. To us, it was a big impact where COVID came in, because the companies from overseas that took our fish didn't want it anymore because of the airlines. It was cut closed. There was no exporting done. All the exporting was closed at a certain point. The advice that I could give them is just like to be a bit stronger than what it is like now. Previous, we were strong fisherwomen and men. Nothing kept us from going. We were there, we forced our way even through the storm. But now, as 2020 struck us, we could do nothing. We were just sitting backwards and taking everything as it came.
Now, Nigerians are rushing to register for a national identification number NIN and link it up with their respective mobile numbers after the government of Africa's most populous country asked telecom operators to block the SIM cards of anyone who fails to do so by February 9th. Many expressed concern over the risks of having to wait in a large crowd in order to register.
Whereas a student, I need national ID card because it's the best. I will need it for many things. But hearing that tomorrow they're going to block my SIM because I did not register the SIM card, so I just have to get up and come to this list. Truly, if there is COVID-19, I believe that they will not tell us to come out and come and register, what's it called, NI, to come and do a national ID card and making it compulsory. That if you don't do it, your SIM will get blocked. If there's COVID-19, then everybody should just go back home and sit down so that we avoid the crowd.
COVID is actually real. COVID is real. I know people who are living with COVID right now. COVID is real. I'm so scared. I'm scared for my children and my family. I'm out. I'm not supposed to be here. For a long time, I'm exposed to crowd for a long time. This is not the best of time. And even if they're going to make it this way, then they should make the other centers work. So that the overcrowding won't be in every center. Let them work.
They can only do only 50 in a day. Why we have up to 6,000 people standing here? It's unfair. They can't even roll 100 in a day. Check your time. We are here since 15 minutes after 5 in the early morning. I have been here. Till now, I have not even know whether that is going to work.
We are not supposed to be in a crowd like this. We are trying to avoid crowds. So why? I think there should be another way to make it easier for people to be able to attend to get this registration done. If it can be done through a network, maybe through the internet, I think it will be better.
Now, elsewhere, hundreds of demonstrators took to the streets of Tunisian cities at the weekend to protest police repression, corruption and poverty following several nights of unrest marked by clashes and arrests. Saturday's protests comes as the North African nation struggles to stem the novel coronavirus pandemic, which has crippled the economy and threatened to overwhelm hospitals. Over 6,000 people have died from COVID-19 in Tunisia. The government has extended a nighttime curfew from 8 p.m. and banned gatherings until February the 14th. But protesters took to the streets in several parts of the country, including the capital, Tunis, and the marginalized interior region of Gabsa, to demand the release of hundreds of young people detained during several nights of unrest since January the 14th. Now, closer home, Ugandan singer turned politician Bobi Wine, a.k.a. Robert Kyagulanyi, and who came a distant second behind President Yoweri Museveni, in recent elections, tells Ugandans that he rejects the results of the election, saying that it has been the most fraudulent election in the history of Uganda.
Number 1, Section 4 of our Constitution provides that the people of Uganda shall express their will and consent on who shall govern them and how they should be governed through regular, free and fair elections. But for Museveni and his regime, they have eliminated the words free and fair. We therefore categorically and unequivocally reject the manufactured results of Museveni. We call upon the people of Uganda to reject this mockery and to refuse to acknowledge Museveni as the winner of the 14th January polls. We defeated Museveni. We defeated them. And we were supposed to be announced as winners.
Now, the dream of Kenya as a country where tribe simply defines identity but does not determine your chances in securing opportunities for advancement in life remains an aspiration. However, national cohesion through inter-ethnic relationships gives hope that the dream of one Kenya might one day become a reality. Now, Bridget Singana met two lovebirds with an inspiring story, and that gives us focus to our day conversation.
Kuja after a week.
The sepia-colored photograph taken in 1986 at the Kenya Technical Teachers College, where Agnes Mukiri and Tom Ochako first met and struck a friendship, is perhaps one of the most treasured mementos in their journey of love.
They always want to be up next to me.
31 years later, and the bond between them remains solid, despite the challenges they faced as they tried to settle down. Agnes is from Imenti in Meru County, and Tom hails from Kisii County. Their union was seen as a taboo, especially when Tom went to Imenti to seek for Agnes's hand in marriage.
Of course, in the beginning, because at that time mixed relationships were not very welcome, they were not happy about it. So they asked me, huyu mkabila, ungepata mwingine Meru. So, but with time, of course, they tended to accept it.
I don't think at any one point it occurred to me that now she's from a different community and I'm from a different community. She's just, I like her, and she's going to be, that is it. It's not about because she's from Meru.
3 children later, and the inter-ethnic marriage of the 2 teachers represents what a united nation could look like.
I don't want to judge people on the basis of their communities, apana, because we don't choose our communities. We find ourselves there. So you accept people for the values they stand for and for what they are offering us, and you don't judge them according to the tribe.
This idea of what's your name and the other one, it's not necessary. You are Bridget, that's okay. The second name, do I really understand? From which community? It doesn't. I don't think it's necessary.
Negative ethnicity continues to stand in the way of building a national ethos that would define a united Kenya, an undertaking that was not given priority during the founding of the Republic.
Even the current politics is being driven by our desire to find our commonness away from our nations, which we call tribes. Because our commonness, we know intuitively that is better for us if we are together as a nation. We know that is better for us. We know we'll go far. So we are all struggling to find where that is because we never started with it.
And how do we ensure we fulfill our democratic credentials without tearing apart the diversity of our nation? The question of us versus them must come to an end, fellow Kenyans.
Memories of the 2007-2008 post-election violence are still fresh for this couple, whose home was a refuge to many when the country deteriorated into ethnic violence.
We had about 40 people here for about 3 nights because they got scared wherever they were. And we were mixed up, people from different communities, different religions and all that. And we were together because of friendship, not because all those ones who are staying here were from one tribe or from one community. It was our friends, people we worked with.
So the Kenyans are beginning to know that when I'm miserable, we are the same. We suffer the same taxes. We suffer the same bad policies. So the Kenyans are beginning to see that. That is the beginning of creating oneness in the country. Because the moment we're beginning to see that, then we will understand that what heals us cuts across our nations that we call tribes. And therefore we need to get together to solve that.
But there is hope that this collective suffering might just birth a national voice and nationhood. Bridget, Ghana, NTV, Nakuru.
A nation.
I think that is such a good way to start off this conversation, just affirming the role of the marriage institution, because really it is the core of society, as it of course takes up the family institution. Well, this morning, let's try and understand why some people think or believe that marriage should be included in their 1,000 ways to die. It is unfortunate, but then again, as I said, there is a tribe of #MarriageWorks that believe this institution is still worth investing in. So to help us understand better the dynamics of the same in the 21st century, in studio with me, we have Grace Kariuki. She is a psychologist and also a family therapist. We're also joined by 2 couples. I start off with Dr. Keith and Esther Dindi, who are founders of Thriving Couples and have been married for 15 years, with this being the 16th now. And they are joining us all the way from Kericho. We're also joined by Gadhoni and Ben Kiruthi, who are in business. Ben is a blogger, photographer, and of course, they have been married for 7 years. Thank you all for joining us on this conversation. And Grace, let's start off by first defining what a healthy marriage is, because if we're going to talk about what constitutes the same, we might as well know the definition.
Right. Thank you, Gladys, for having me here today. I am excited about this. I'm a marriage and family therapist, and having got into that because I came from a home where there wasn't happiness, and I wondered that. And so in God's time, I found myself training to coach couples and counsel them on how to have a successful marriage. Now, a successful marriage should be where there is, I usually say there needs to be 5 things. Number one, there needs to be mutual support. So everyone is finding that my life is meaning something. I'm thriving as a person within this marriage. There needs to be compassion, where I am feeling that somebody else is, somebody who is in relationship with me is looking at my needs and is concerned to make my life better. And then there needs to be empathy, where I am able to walk in the shoes of my spouse and they are able to do the same for me. Now, when it comes to the issue of respect, it needs to be mutual. And then there needs to be equity, so that it's not double standards. We hear that a lot. So all of that means that each one of us will have to look at the other person and do what the good book tells us. Treat others as you would have them treat you. So if you do the golden rule from your heart and you come in there with the mind that I'm here to make your life better. I'm not here to receive, I'm here to give. And we both come in there, the relationship is going to thrive.
Yeah. So now when we put all that into a marriage and it's thriving, what are the ripple effects of such a marriage?
Right. Now, we know that people who are happily married live longer. Because it gives you mental health is really important in human actualizing, because you feel good, you have support. When the marriage is difficult, every area of your life suffers, because if you're not in good mental health, you're not going to be good for anyone else. And so one of the benefits of having a thriving marriage, a successful marriage, a good marriage, is that you're going to feel good about yourself. And so your self-value, your sense of value is good. Your sense of acceptance is good, because you're not the person who walks life with you, who does life with you, makes you feel that you are a good person. We need to understand that marriage is emotional. It is not you do this and I do this. No, it's emotional. Everything you do in your marriage is emotional. It's because it's going to be received from that space in your own life. And so if people are having a good marriage, they are happier and they are healthier, because now we do know lifestyle diseases are what are killing us these days. It's what is going on in our mind. So if I wake up every morning and the person who I'm waking up with is negative, is critical, is complaining, is stonewalling, is not giving me opportunity, and they are not treating me right, of course, my day is not going to start well, because you spend a lot of your time. And this is the person who knows you more than anybody else, because they know you, they have seen you naked. I mean, how else? Vulnerable can you be, to a person? So if that person whom you have become so vulnerable to is not offering you that support, you're not going to be okay. And if you're not mentally okay, emotionally okay, it's difficult for you to be physically okay, or even out in the community to be okay.
Yeah. Now that we've set that foundation, let's hear from our couples that are joining us this morning. Dr. Keith and Esther Dindi, 15 years, now on the 16th year. Let me understand, how did these two doctors meet?
I think, as they say, ladies first.
Okay, thank you so much for hosting us, Gladys. And Keith and I met back in medical school in the second year. Okay, we met in medical school, but we started courting in the second year of medical training. And I must say, we started off courting. We actually didn't date. From the outset. We were sure that we wanted to end up in marriage. So it was quite an exciting journey, and I think I'll let him now give more details.
Yeah.
I first saw her playing basketball, amazing legs, and the rest, as they say, is history.
All right. And for you, Esther, I mean, what was so appealing about Keith?
I must say, of course, I was attracted to his intelligence, and then he's a fun guy. We share in a lot of values, of course. He has a lot of value for marriage. He has deep fear for God. But most importantly, I love to laugh, and he's very funny. So that's very exciting. And then the other thing is that he's a good listener. So I feel that my emotions are taken care of. He listens to me. About me. He's very interested in who I am and who I want to become, and he's really been part of my becoming. So being with him has ensured that I get to achieve my potential. So he helps me thrive. We not only thrive as a couple, but I thrive as a person just by being with him because he nurtures.
Oh, wow. Okay, Keith, I believe that Esther has just, more than just the good legs to offer. What stands out for her?
I missed that.
I'm saying there is more to Esther, definitely, than the nice legs you were attracted to. So what stands out about her?
Okay, we're not getting you so well, but I guess you're asking about, for me, she has an amazing smile. So the first thing I noticed about her, she was always happy. Those of you who follow her on her fitness page and everything, the one thing that people always comment, she's always smiling. So I just love that positive vibe. She looks at life through a positive lens. So always smiling, always happy, and very real. She's very black and white about issues. What you see is actually what you get. And I've realized with time in marriage, it's so important to have a partner who is real, who's them. There are no cards under the table. This is me. This is what's happening. This is what I'm feeling. This is it. And that really helps in having a relationship that is true. Because as we like to say, a thriving marriage is a marriage that is real, fun, and exciting. And at the end of the day, I'm blessed with a partner that has helped me to just enjoy this marital life.
Oh, it is so encouraging to see how 15 years later you're still looking at each other with so much awe. All right, let's hear from Gathoni and Ben Kiruthi. It's been 7 years. Where did this love journey begin?
So, thank you, Gladys. We met in church. We met in church a while back, way back, almost 11 years ago. Yes, we've been brought up in the same church, the same environment, and yes, the first time I met him, my eyes landed on him was in church. Yes, and we grew, became friends, and then then engagement, then marriage. So, but church is what brought us together.
All right, Ben, do you remember that story differently?
Yeah, thank you, Gladys, for hosting Gathoni and I. So, I was leading a drama group. We were doing a play. We were 3 of us. So Gathoni was the extra, and so when she joined, obviously because of her beauty, we all noticed her. Because the rest of us were guys, yeah, we all noticed her, and so it was may the best man win, and so we began escorting her going home. And then all of us shooting our shot, and I thank God that she accepted this man. But we began first of all by friendship. We were friends for about
5 months.
For about 5 months.
Yes.
5 months before I asked her out.
Yeah.
So we were good friends. And then that's when I asked her out, and then she was kind enough to say yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how it all started.
Gathoni, for you, what stood out about Ben?
His fear for God. He loved God. God was his everything, and also his maturity and his intelligence. He could speak to me in such a way that, or he will want me to just grow in various aspects of my life. He will. Plus, then also he also wanted to know me for me. He just wanted to just sit down with me, talk with me, just to know how I am. Yeah, he really wanted me to grow. And that really attracted me to him. Yeah.
Okay, and for you, Ben?
Yeah, so definitely what caught my eye first is beauty. You know, as men, we're very visual.
Yes.
So definitely her beauty caught my eye, and I had a wish list, a wife wish list, that I had. And so when I first met her, I began to check it out, to tick. So first and foremost was her skin color, her skin color, and then her personality. And then was she humble, was she kind, which she was so much. She was very down to earth, despite her being so beautiful. It's like she never knew she was this beautiful. She was very down to earth. And then also her nails. So her nails were the confirmation from God that she was the one. Yeah, because I had asked God specifically for these kinds of nails. So everywhere I was, I kept looking for, like in the matatu or when we were walking in town, I kept looking at girls' nails to see whether my wife would pass me by. And so when I met her, that was the thing that confirmed that she was the one, through her nails. And then I realized, wow, God is so perfect. And that's when now I began to pursue her, but then through the friendship angle. Yes.
Okay, interesting. Wow, nails. Ladies, let's keep our stuff together. You'll never know who's looking out for you, clearly. But then again, I'd like to see both couples on screen. And by a show of hands, you've described your partner as you met them and the person they are, or the person you were looking for in them. Many years later, can you still go back and marry them again? Okay, now somebody will say, they're on television. Of course, they're going to raise their hands. But then again, the reason why I'm asking that question, Grace, is because everyone walks into the institution of marriage with so much expectation and hope and excitement. But now, many years later, it seems to fade away.
Right.
So what is this that actually pours water on the fire?
Right. I think it has something to do with realisticness of the expectations. And also, I think the reasons why people are looking for a partner. So if you are looking for a partner because you do feel that they are going to fill in something that you lack, and then they don't, then you're going to be disappointed. And we do know that in the beginning of your first 5 years of marriage are really tumultuous because of the fact that it's just the transition. You've been living alone, and now you have somebody in your house, you have somebody who sleeps in your bed, you have somebody everywhere you go, they are there. And then you have all this responsibility that you have for somebody else. And so there is the transitional part of marriage. We need to understand that. So if you are married and then the beginning of the marriage you are struggling, what people need to do is to understand those are opportunities for you to grow, because you are two different people who are joining together. You have grown up in different worlds. Your personalities are different. Your temperaments are different. And even your values sometimes are different. Things as simple as when you come into the house, you remove your shoes at the door versus you coming in with the shoes and then removing them inside the house. Those are value issues. Those are value statements that could really cause a lot of mental kind of challenge for you. How could a person like you, and you are grown, you are a doctor, you are this, how can you not know? You cannot walk into the house with shoes when you have been walking with them all around. And that in itself can begin the feeling of, who is this person that I got myself with? Now, what do you need to go through that period of your marriage is understanding, tolerance, and a lot of acceptance, and interest. How do you learn something? You have to have interest in it. And so this person that has come, when you are dating, you had a lot of interest in them. Now you are living together, you need to even up that interest so that every time Gladys, you do something and I don't understand and it flabbergasts me, it even irritates me. I will move my mind from that emotional space and I go into objectiveness. I wonder why she does that. And I will sit down with you and I will be interested. why you do the things you do, because during that transition period, you need that. Love is not enough. You need more. And one of those things that you need is to be interested in your spouse so that you understand them, you tolerate them, they do the same for you, you bring you build your relationship. I always say that, well, we do know this as a family therapist, as marriage therapists, that in the relationship, you have something that you call the love bank. And you need to always check. When you take out, you need to take in. And your love bank needs to overflow all the time. And you don't need to do a lot of things. You just need to do little caring things every day, and your love bank will always be overflowing.
Aha. All right. So we would like to hear from our couples as to how those first few years were for them, even as they got to know their partners a little bit better. But before we get to it, I hear you already talking to us, even as we asked you, are you happily married? No, yes, not sure. Whatever your answer is, that hashtag is a new normal. Share your experience, and also you can call us using the number at the bottom of the screen. We have Mai Mudomi who says, are we even married? Some of us have these callers. Woi. Bye. Okay, Robert San says, what do you think? The guy imprisoned himself willingly. Why do you refer to marriage as prison? Betty Samantha, I'm married, single, and also dating. Which are you? Walter Ingadi says, I'm not married, I am so happy. Okay, I guess we're happy with the singlehood. Dennis Dewa Sam says, sometimes yes, sometimes maybe, other times probably, but most times perhaps. But in conclusion, it depends who is asking. Wow. Mutai Elijah says, since this matter doesn't concern me because I was lefted, let me take this chance to stand up and sit down. Thank you, Mutai. We hear you. Betty Wambogo says, is there a choice number 4? Wow, that bad. Okay. Dennis Kibiwat says, happily single, no stress. Okay, that's the second guy saying that, huh? Vincent Sam says, very much happy in marriage. Yay! There we have hashtag marriage works, and that's what we're trying to understand, what makes it work in the dynamics of the dating life we have today, and of course the dynamics of the 21st century. And remember, you can also call us, that number at the bottom of your screen, if you'd like to let us know of your experience via phone. So I'll start off with the ones who've been married the longest. 15 years is not a short time, and Keith and Esther, I'm sure it has not always been a bed of roses, as they say, even roses have thorns. So how have you been handling the thorns? How did it start off?
Okay, yeah, it's true. Of course, every marriage has its own issues. And I think for us, I would say we are two very different people. Of course, we are both medics, but I am an introvert. Keith is an extrovert. He's a spender. I am a saver. I prefer quiet places. He makes friends with a lot of ease. And so much more. We actually joke that the only thing we have in common is our love for morning glory. But anyway, that's aside. It's just to say that one we do not differ. But of course, we share in many values, and so that brings us together a lot. But it's to say that we differ in the sense that sometimes we'll want to. He might want us to spend money in a certain way, and I feel differently, and so there's going to be a bit of conflict, disagreement. We differ in that, but eventually we compromise. So what we've learned to navigate, the way we've learned to navigate our issues is that we communicate. So he tells me what he thinks, I tell him what he thinks. He respects what I think, I respect what he thinks, and we just negotiate, and eventually we get a middle ground. And actually, with time, I realize that I have moved more towards the kind of person he is, and he's moved more towards the kind of person I am. So we kind of meet in the middle, and that has really made us very cohesive. The other thing is that when we differ, we are very respectful in the language we use. So we don't call each other names. We don't refer to the other person, but we address the issue. So it's an issue of, this is how I feel, and I feel this, if we go this way, it's going to affect us in this way, but not like you know. So we just address the issue, and at the end of the day, we say that we are two people that love each other.
And I would just say, just reading the comments that were coming through, you know, the mindset really matters. You know, so if someone gets into marriage with a certain mindset, they'll be looking for trouble. And you know, when you look for trouble, you will find it. As guys, when we started this journey, we said, you know, we're in this for life. The issues that will arise, we will sort them out. If we can't do it ourselves, be willing to allow other people to speak into our lives to help us navigate. But the mindset was, we're in this ride, you know, do or die, you know, and so we've just learned how to talk to each other about issues and to be real and free and discuss those. And sometimes it will take a long discussion deep into the night, but we said we don't fall asleep before we lay it to rest.
Okay, now you sound like you figured out how to navigate this marriage journey. But when you were starting off, what are those pet peeves that used to get to you? I'll start with Esther. What is it about Keith that used to drive you up the wall, and how did you handle it?
One, Keith is a very spontaneous person. He thinks of something and he just does it. And I am a planner. And then I remember like the initial days, of course, back in college, maybe he's meant to pick me at a certain time. And our dating, of course, we were two broke medical students. We used to take long walks. We used, of course, go for some coffee dates or is it tea dates and, you know, eat some fries in some places. But, you know, sometimes because he's very social, maybe he's coming to pick me. He meets one of his friends, they talk, and then he's late. And of course, we didn't have cell phones at that time. Oh, maybe we are not very young. Yeah, we didn't have cell phones, and so what would happen is that he comes like 10 minutes late, and I'm irritated. I feel like he's not taking me seriously. You know, it's just those small things that can really get into your nerves. And I think at some point we started joking that I feel like my nerves are becoming porous, you know. And so we started addressing that. He knew how I feel. Then with time, I became a little bit more patient. Then now he communicates better. If he thinks he's going to be late for something, he's going to communicate. And then again, just the small things. Even when we are married, you know, there's the way in which he'll press the toothpaste from the top, and I tend to press it from the bottom. And you know, it just, I'm like, oh, okay, but you know, toss his socks like all over. I'm picking after him. So they're just the small things I have learned not to sweat them. So sometimes there are things you just have to let them slide for the sake of, you know, you don't sweat the small things that they're going to feel overwhelming. And just that mindset of we are here to enjoy it. So, I mean, we are two people, we are different. There are things we are not going to do in the same way, and just adapt. Over time, it's become easier. Of course, we courted for 5 years and got married in 2005. So I'd already learned a lot of things. So our marriage has been much easier just because we communicate a lot and we had really learned to understand each other.
Okay, now Keith, let me ask you, as a guy, and you heard one of the feedback, a guy referring to marriage as a prison. So you are the outgoing one. You want to live life free. You're the free bird. And then you meet somebody who likes structure. At that point, did you go back to think, what did I get myself into?
Yeah, so first off, as I said, the mindset is so important. I was lucky to grow up in a home seeing my dad loving my mom, and he was very open about it. You know, they're old, but they had an open display of affection. So I grew up seeing that. You know, dad would go to the kitchen and cook with mom, and they would be laughing and talking. You know, so that to me was normal. So getting into this relationship, in my mind, that is what I expected. I expected that, you know, I should be able to be having fun with her and laughing and just enjoying life together. And so deep into the marriage, I began to realize that we are different at so many levels. If I would just tag on the example that you're giving, I love people, I love spaces, I love going out and all that. And Esther, her best moment is alone in the house, probably reading something. That is like, it's heaven for her. And so we had to come to that middle ground. And I must say, our ability to be so raw and real, I mean, if you listen to some of our discussions, you'd be so disturbed. Yeah, but we agreed from the very beginning to be that raw and real. So I'll tell her, hey, I just feel like this staying in the house today is the worst. You know, I would use the extreme term to explain how I'm feeling, and she would do the same and say, okay, so how do we get somewhere kati, and just accepting that for real we're not the same. But there are so many other things that connect us. There's so many other things that we love about each other that connect us. And so we concentrate and focus on those. And then for those areas where we're different, we learn how to come to the middle ground. And I must say it has worked pretty well.
All right. Excellent.
Just to add on a little bit, I think marriage takes one also thinking about the other person more, how to serve them and how to enable them to have fun. So it's easy to choose to be comfortable as a person, but it's good to think what really serves my spouse better. So I will go out of my way to making the chapatis the way he likes them. I'll just do something that's thoughtful, you know, what means well for him. Sometimes, you know, I get a book that I know he's going to like, I'm going to get it for him. So trying to make it fun and comfortable for the other person. Even sometimes when you feel irritated, it's not like he walks into the house and the first thing it's just complaining. I'll welcome him home, give him a hug or a kiss, and then, you know, later I'll be like, honey, I felt this way, and you know. So just trying to make the other person, you know, comfortable and happy makes him feel more fulfilled, and they'll tend to do the same for you. And that's just how marriages thrive. Yeah.
Okay, so it's been 15 years for the Dindies, but now Gathoni and Ben, you got to date when there were phones. Technology had checked in, so the dynamics were a little bit different. So tell me, when you walked into this marriage, what were the thorns that you had to deal with? Start off with Gathoni.
I'm an extrovert.
Extrovert.
Yes, and
Yeah.
Ben is an introvert.
Yeah.
And I am outgoing. I am very outgoing, and Ben he loves his space. He loves doing things in a particular way. At first, it was hard for it. Even now, it's still ongoing. We are still in the perfection bit of it, because at first I could not go to places because I felt like I needed to go with him. I felt like we need to go together. We need to, yes. So one of our challenges were the fact that we have different temperaments. Yes, and now I have learned to embrace our different temperaments. I've learned to be okay going somewhere alone and having a good time. To meet friends, to do everything. And that was one of our challenges. And then
Okay, for you, Ben, seeing that you're the introvert and it kind of sounds that you're the melancholic. So are there things that Gathoni did and you thought, are you sure?
Yeah, thank you for that question. So my main temperament is male. I am very melancholic, while Gathoni is sanguine. So she's a happy-go-lucky. She's a sunshine, and that also comes with a few difficulties. One is that she's very so she wakes up like a bird. So she wakes up and she lives, and she leaves everything everywhere. And so that was a very difficult thing for me, because I was used to a lot of order, and I like things being done my way. So I like things when I leave them there, I find them there. And so Gathoni was the one, she would just place things everywhere, and so that was very difficult to begin with. One, to have someone in my space, and then just be that. But then also lateness. So that was a very big thing for us. So Gathoni was the one who liked taking her time to get ready, because see how the way she looks good. So she had to look good, and it took time for her to get ready like that. And so that was a very difficult thing for me, because I was used to being on time and having to keep time. And then now I had to adjust my life with someone else being there was very, very difficult, very, very difficult. But I thank God is that because God knew that I had a lot of issues to deal with, impatience and also tolerating others. And so God brought Gathoni in my life for exactly that, for God to be able to deal with my impatience and for God to be able to show me that you have to be patient, you have to be accommodative, and you have to love. And just like the other couple has said, is that now learning also to serve. I think that's a very difficult thing for people who are getting married, because all of us got into marriage with an expectation that someone is going to give us the time of our life, that we're going to be served, it's going to be fun, not knowing that when we get into marriage, the other person also has the same expectation. So when you get into the home, you're both like, so do it. Why are you not doing it? Why are you not doing it? And so you're there wondering, why was it so much fun when you were dating? And then marriage now is so hard. So hard. There's no more fireworks. Everything now has to be intentionality. And so that was one of the things that God really taught us. That marriage is about serving the other person, not really about you, but about the other person. And the more we serve the other person, the more the other person also served us. So it was fantastic.
Very well said. 7 years in, and clearly you picked up on those really critical lessons in marriage. And I understand we have a caller who would like to chip in. Esther from Mombasa?
Yes, my name is Esther.
Hey, so are you married?
Yes, married for 31 years now.
Yay! Okay, so in your case, what has worked for you?
Being open to my partner. Our marriage is a cross-tribal marriage. And I'm extrovert and he's an introvert.
Okay.
Anything that I found not working well, I settle it within the same day before we sleep.
Okay.
So I don't let my partner go to bed after I have a feeling that he has stepped on my toe. And when we have issues to settle, we sit down and settle before we go to bed, so that when we go to our morning glory, we are happy and we have settled everything that was aching before.
Okay, clearly the candidates for Morning Glory ni wengi. Now, quick one, 31 years, of course you've seen the dynamics of marriage and dating change with the times. What is your word of advice for those that are trying to get in and those who are young in it?
That they need to know each other well. They should have good time to know each other well. And then above all, pray for their desired partners so that God can answer their prayer according to how they feel they should have somebody to spend their life with.
Okay. All right. Asante sana, Esther, for sharing, and congratulations.
And thank you very much. I have 5 children with my partner, and I thank God for them.
All right.
Between age 30 and 20.
Yay. We celebrate you. We celebrate you. Thank you for calling.
That is.
All right, so remember, you can reach us on that number at the bottom of your screen as you share your experiences in as far as being married is concerned. Remember, there are those who are saying no, yes, maybe, they're not very sure what's happening. Whatever the case, talk to us at #NewNormal. And here we have feedback on social media too. Holly Kalai says, I'm scared of what exactly? To get into it? Tell us more. Kevo T-Boy says, no, left it. Why? Tell us more. Ronald Mount says, Sina haraka, life begins at 40. For now, I am happy. Okay. Eric Kosgei says, senior bachelor here and I am happy. Well, clearly the people who've decided to stay on their own. As to why is what we're trying to figure out, because really marriage is not that bad if what we're hearing this morning is anything to go by. So when we come back, we'd like to hear from Grace. What is this that you need to know about your partner or understand about your partner, especially when it comes to personalities, for you to be able to ride that tide? Stay with us.
Did you know at Ruiru Mabati Factory you can open an account and lipa pole pole at your convenience? Did you know at Ruiru Mabati Factory you can get customized sizes according to your roof plan to avoid wastage? Did you know Ruiru Mabati Factory offers free delivery countrywide within 72 hours? Call us now on 0111 050 700. Ruiru Mabati Factory, mali safi kwa bei poa.
Breaking news from Molfix. Let's see what they're developing right now.
Fancy's just for me. It really feels very comfy.
Molfix pants with anatomic fit technology. New Molfix pants, an invention from babies for babies.
You should also try Molfix.
Thank you for staying with Your World. My name is Gladys Gashanja. Today we are talking about the institution of marriage, especially within the dynamics of the 21st century. A lot has changed throughout the years, and a lot more people believe that it is not worth investing in this institution. But we are representing and hearing from those that are saying it still works, but you've got to put in the work. So let's see what needs to be done to ensure that we safeguard this very vital institution. Still walking us through this conversation in studio, we have Grace Kariuki. She is a psychologist, marriage and family therapist, and of course our couples, that is Dr. Keith and Esther Dindi and Gathoni and Ben Kiruthi. But before we get to the couples, Grace, when we went to break, I think one thing that stood out for all the couples is the fact that you always find two people with different personalities. So how you internalize the world, how you view the world could be a point of crisis if you don't understand each other. Walk us through that.
Yeah, and it is this is the reality. The first thing I do when couples come to me, we do a temperament test. Now, temperament is part of your personality. Temperament is actually how you relate with the world, how you feel and how you internalize what's going on around you. And so all of us are different, and we all know those who have done personality tests and those who have done temperament tests, you are either a melancholic, sanguine, choleric, or a phlegmatic. Now, phlegmatics are easygoing, so they don't want conflict, they want peace. Then you have the sanguine is the sunshine. She just wants to have fun, he just wants to have fun, very social and outgoing. Then you have the choleric. This is the person who wants things done. They don't have time for emotions and all that. They just want things done. There is a task, let's do it. You have the melancholic, who is all about the right and the wrong, black and white thinking. So for them, they are very introspective. They sit down and they think through things. They are not quick to speak, and so we do need to know, who are you? So when you look at these couples that we are talking to, and even the lady who called in, opposites attract, and we are attracted to the person who is not like us. We are mesmerized by them, and we are interested to know them. So we are going to gravitate towards a person who is not like us. I remember being in college and thinking, oh, why would you marry somebody who is like you? It's gonna be boring. Now, the thing with opposites attracting is that if you don't have the skills for relational skills or social skills, what is going to happen is that you are not going to sustain the relationship. So you will still be attracted to each other, but you can't live together. You can't do life together because you don't have the necessary social skills to do that. So what do you need? And I'm going to say about the four of them. The phlegmatic needs to stop being too laid back. Come on, get in the middle and talk with your partner and listen to them and engage. Give them feedback. Don't just say, okay, ni sawa tu. And then the sanguine needs not to say this thing of whatever is good for you, honey, I'm here for you. No, have an opinion, have boundaries, speak up and engage your partner. If you are a melancholic, don't take too long, thinking about things. Don't overthink things. Ask for time to process and then come back with feedback, because we are talking about communication, and communication means I send a message and you give me feedback, and then I give you feedback and we agree and we move on. Now, when you are a choleric, please, it's not always you are right. It is not your way or the highway, So listen, learn how to actively listen to your partner, try to understand them, have some compassion and empathy. So if we create, those are basic, what we call social skills. And so we need to understand, once you get married, you are an individual who comes in, she's an individual who comes in. Learn how to do what the two doctors told us. Find your middle ground. How do you do that? The couples have told us very well, be interested in your spouse. Look to give, look to understand why they do the things they do. So what does that mean? I am open. I am going to talk with you. Now, the thing is, when we are looking at the feedback we are getting, people are saying what? Either I'm in prison, I'm lefted, I'm in stress. Why? Because we are not providing emotional security to each other. Even men are emotional. Even the choleric, who is just like, me stuck in mamboza feelings, they also get affected emotionally, even if they deny it. So we do need to understand that. There is something I call breaking down the walls of denial. How does it look like? I need to understand that in this marriage, in this relationship I'm in, my problem is that I'm not willing to be flexible. My way makes sense to me. Your way does not make sense to me. And so for me to be happy, for me to feel that we are walking this journey together, you've got to change to be like me. And when we go there, we start walking parallel to each other. We stay in the marriage for 15, 16, 17, even 20 years. But none of us is happy in that marriage. None of us is feeling, we say we are not feeling each other. Why? Because we are here, but we are walking parallel. Because we refused to be flexible. We refused to tolerate, and we refused to compromise.
Wow. Okay. There you have it. A lot of work needs to go into it. You've got to be intentional to actually achieve what Grace and the couples are talking about. Now, I hear we have a phone call. Stella from Nakuru. How long have you been married, if at all?
Yeah, okay. Gladys?
Yes.
I have been married for 10 years now.
Uh-huh.
And for me, marriage do work.
Okay.
Yeah, I am happily married.
Mm-hmm.
I think because I married a friend.
Mm-hmm.
My partner, we are friends. We talk so openly. And I have seen the responses from the people that are sending the messages, that others are worried, others are scared. For them, marriage is like a prison. And the responses are so shocking, because I think when you marry somebody that you are not compatible, that could be the problem. Marriage is an institution that requires love, unconditionally, loving unconditionally, patience, and being open-minded.
Okay.
Yeah, so my advice is that when you are married, you have to be committed, willing to make that marriage to work.
Oi. Are you still there?
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay. Make it work, and what else? Okay, we seem to have lost Stella, but we have Mary from Nairobi.
Hi, Gladys.
Hi, so are we married?
I am not married. I was once married. I was married for 16 years.
15 years?
16.
16. Okay, so why did you go your separate ways?
We went our separate ways after 16 years because when you are married, and then it reaches a point when you realize that you are not headed towards the same direction anymore. And the other partner wants the marriage to work, the other one doesn't want the marriage to work. So it's like you're alone in this. So that is the point where we were.
Mm-hmm.
And what I would say that really sustains a marriage other than love is respect. That's what I believe is respect.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you start doing something that shows a lot of disrespect to your partner, that's when you start having problems in your marriage. Because I have to be considerate of my partner and ask myself, this that I'm doing, how will this make my partner feel? Is it something that builds us or something that breaks us? And especially if you do something that you just don't care how it makes your partner feel, it's all about you, and yet you're not in this marriage alone. You're with another person. So to me, marriage works when there is respect, because sometimes you grow out of love, but the respect that you have for each other is what will sustain that marriage.
Okay.
Yeah, so I walked out after 16 years, and here I am. I'd rather be alone than get married. But what I know, marriages work. If you put effort to it, a marriage can work. And marriage is a beautiful institution.
Amen to that. Thank you, Mary. You might not be married, but you still believe in the institution. Thank you for sharing your experience. Remember, you can reach us using that number at the bottom of your screen. And I hear there's a question that's being posed to everybody on this panel. If you can have it on the screen, Mike Adaka Mbarikiwa says, good morning. Talk about this generation and marriage. What does being happily married mean, and what does it entail? I lost confidence in this situation or in this institution. And I think... let's hear from the couples. Grace might have the textbook answer, but let's hear those that are actually walking in these shoes. For you, Gathoni and Ben, when you say I'm happily married, what exactly are you saying? Let me hear from Ben.
Yeah, so thank you so much. That's a very important question. So I think happiness varies from person to person. And I think what very many people get disappointed at is when you enter into marriage with a selfish motive that I am here so that I can be happy. And so very many people get disappointed, frustrated when they realize that the other person is not exactly making you happy. So I think one of the things that Gathoni and I have found is that we have found happiness and security in God. And I think that's very important because both of us were very flawed. We both have a lot of mistakes. Both of us are selfish, inconsiderate, full of selfish ambition. And so when we got into the marriage, we realized that none of us can be able to make each other happy. And so when we realized that, we realized the only person who can be able to make us happy is God. And so we went back into the Bible to look for solutions or to look for principles that the word of, because as you know, God is a founder of the institution of marriage, and so now he knows. For example, it's like if you go to a TV manufacturer and they give you a manual, the person knows what the TV is supposed to do. So when you try and figure out the TV without the manual, you see you'll fail. And so the Bible has been to us a manual for us to be able to know how to relate to each other, and we have found a very nice principle that maybe Gathoni can expound on that has really helped us find our own happiness in marriage.
So we lived by this Bible verse in Ephesians 5:33 that talks about man to love, and the woman to respect. For over a very long time, I had no idea of the respect bit of it. I had no idea absolutely. So I used to do what I thought was right, as in like what we've been brought up knowing that we should love one another. So I could bombard Ben with a lot of love, and in my head I'm thinking he should be responding back, loving me. But now, the more I show him lovely acts, or the more I'll bombard with a lot of love, the more he'll feel suffocated. He will feel like, no, this is too much for me. So when we went back now to the Bible, and I had to learn all over again about respecting and being his cheerleader, being his greatest supporter, being there for him, telling him that he can do great things in this world, just respecting him and admiring him, that will make him thrive, and that will make him do anything he wants to do and achieve his dreams, and that way he will love me back. And it became like a cycle. So with when I respected him, he will love me back, and the moment will feel like he will feel like I'm not respecting, we'll go in a vicious cycle. We'll go like, so he doesn't love me, then I won't respect him. So the moment we will feel like we're in that vicious cycle, we'll go back. We'll notice and we'll talk and we'll see we are not on the same. Something is wrong, and that's where now we've learned now to work out our happiness. So So now we've learned now about the love and respect, and it's worked for us. And
yes, it has.
Yes, and
Okay.
And again, I remember. Yes, and again, I remember during our PMCC, we went for premarital counseling just before we got married, and one of our facilitators asked us a very important question that I've continued to linger in my mind for so long, that what if marriage was to make you holy than happy? Which in the real sense, it does. It makes you holy than happy because you are so different in so many ways, and the work of the other partner is to sharpen you for your greater good, so that you can all get to heaven, because that is our goal in this life. So what marriage does is to sharpen you and to make you be on the path.
Interesting perspective. Interesting perspective. Let me hear from the Dindis. You've been married longer, and happiness is defined, as we said, differently for different people. For you, what does that entail, Esther?
Thank you for the question. Of course, being happy, like it's already been said, is different for everyone. And I think before we look at it from the context of marriage, it's good to think of it in terms of what made me happy, even as a person previously. What did I want to achieve in life? What is it that actually made me feel fulfilled? Of course, I knew that I'm on this earth for a reason, for a purpose. I have my career. I wanted to grow in my career. I wanted to explore other things, and I've done entrepreneur things and all that. And so bringing all this into marriage, then what would make me feel fulfilled is still being able to achieve what I had in mind, even within the marital space. However, in this case, I have to think about someone else, because when two get married, you become one. So even as I want to be fulfilled, I have to think, as I get fulfilled, is my partner getting fulfilled? And therefore, I have to ensure that my fulfillment does not compromise his fulfillment. So my fulfillment means his fulfillment as well. And therefore, for us to be happy, we all need to be happy. We only win when we win together. I am happy if he is also happy, and the converse. And just knowing that the main causes of divorce and separation is actually infidelity, financial disagreements, and abuse. So in the context of marriage, how do you manage to avoid that? Of course, in terms of infidelity, that has to be a very personal commitment. Of course, we are committed to each other, but that's also to remember that one also needs physical intimacy. And so I work towards ensuring that my husband is physically fulfilled. And so, so we work on that area. Yes. We've also ensured that our money is married as well. And so we agree on our financial commitments and how we want to spend our money, how we want to make our money. That's very important. Then in the area of abuse, to avoid that, we take care of each other. Abuse is not only physical, but emotional as well. How I talk to him, how I, how I respect him, how I communicate, ensure that he's not, is of course no physical abuse and no emotional abuse. I think most people suffer from emotional abuse, not feeling respected and all that. So taking care of our sexual needs, taking care of our financial needs, and taking care of our emotional needs has really ensured that I feel happy, and I believe he does.
Yeah. and for me, quickly, happiness is a choice. Somebody has got to choose that. Then, number two, happiness is an inside job. Environment will not make you happy. Then, lastly, happiness and marriage can go hand in hand. As I said, a lot of things boil down to the mindset. There are people who get into marriage and they already believe. I remember during our wedding day, one of the things I kept wondering about, almost everyone that stood up to speak would say, ndoa ni kuvumiliana. You know, it's like you're getting in, and from the word go, you expected not to enjoy it. As guys decided from the beginning that, you know, we're in this for life, we had better enjoy it.
Yeah, we better make it fun.
Others would be so miserable. So I believe that happiness is a choice. There's a book we really love. It's called Great by Choice. So it's being intentional to have a fantastic marriage. You choose that, and you know what it takes to get there. So it's possible. Even in today's generation, it is possible. You can be intentional about it. You can have an awesome marriage.
Very well said.
The grass is going to be green.
Oh, there you have it. And Grace, just listening to everyone and, of course, our callers earlier, it is important to know why you got into the marriage.
Yes.
There is an essence and very important in this case for you to get married to a friend, but also have the skills getting into the marriage. And that's why you had the Kiruth is talking about going through premarital counseling.
Yes.
Speak about these three things.
Right. Now, again, we said love is not enough to sustain a marriage. With love, you need to have skills. Now, I will say in this generation that we are in, and probably in every generation, we do have individuals who come from homes where they were affected by the way things were run in the home. And so we make certain vows very early in our lives. I remember I was 12 when I made a vow. When I grow up, I'm going to show my parents how to be good parents, you know, as a child, because I'm disappointed. Unfortunately, everything we experience in life becomes a memory, and we store it within our body as emotions. Emotions that have not been processed, emotions that are raw. So what happens is that we go through life being triggered left and right, but we don't know why. We have a fear of rejection. We have a feeling of low self-esteem. We have a feeling of I'm not acceptable, I'm not capable, or I'm not safe. And it's because of what we experienced when we were growing up. So there is a component here, as the couples are talking about, find your own happiness first, which means that you need to understand who you are. So you begin, if you're going to find happiness, contentment, fulfillment with another person, you've got to learn how to give that to yourself. And these days, the millennials, the people who are living in this generation, a lot of us, we are carrying around a lot of unresolved issues, wounds, the emotional wounds that we have experienced over time and have never been able to process. So when you get into a relationship, what the relationship does, it triggers your unfinished business. Because remember, relationships are really intimate. So that person becomes the person that you open up to. And once you open up to them, you are either going to feel safe with them or you're going to feel unsafe because either they betray you or they betray your trust. So what is going to happen? You begin to react to that. What has been triggered by this experience as an adult in a relationship is your childhood unresolved trauma. And that is a topic for another day. That is in the area of now mental health and psychological health. So now what happens is that now when I get into a marriage, I'm expecting the person who is in marriage with me to fix what is, but it is not conscious, it's subconscious, to fix what is broken in me. So it's very important for us to do that. First of all, find your own happiness, you know, find your own healing. And how do you know whether you need healing? If you have been through those three things that the Dindis talked about, that infidelity, you have experienced infidelity, whether it was with your parents or you have been exposed to that, and that would also include sexual violence as a child, sexual violence as a teenager. You have experienced domestic violence, you have experienced a lack, you know, the neglect, that there wasn't much, it wasn't intentional, but there was just not much. You need to get yourself into a space where you can invest in personal development. Because if you don't do that, you go into relationships looking to fix yourself. And those people are broken just like you are. We know people who meet and they bond over their traumas. And so they are two broken people. And then when they come together, there is too much triggering of each other. And then they are not able to work together. There is a lady who spoke about respect. Respect needs to be mutual. You need to understand that that I need to respect my partner and they need to respect me. Double standards don't work. That's why I talked about equity. This relationship needs to be equally satisfying to each other. If I expect you to do this, I should be ready to do the same thing for you. Because then that is where you develop this emotional what we are calling emotional safety, for me to be open to you, for us to grow and to be able to work together. But if I'm not feeling emotionally safe with you, guess what? The walls begin to come up, and so now we go into the four things that we normally say are going to wreck your relationship. Number one, criticizing the person instead of complaining about a behavior. Number two, defending yourself and explaining away your bad behavior instead of saying, I am sorry and it will not happen again, or asking, can you help me, so we find a way forward. Number three, when we use words to cut each other down, sarcasm, you know, dirty jokes about a person, and also when we call each other names, that is not going to grow that marriage. Instead of doing that, humble yourself. Don't have this superiority feeling and attitude towards your partner. And then number four, we do need to work on the whole thing of just now I forget the last one. Stonewalling. Avoidance. Yes. Avoiding to deal with things. If you avoid, you keep avoiding. Melancholics, are you hearing me? If you keep avoiding to deal with issues that I am processing. Phlegmatics, when you say, Mr. Kangi kupigania makelele, wacha tu. No, we need to learn how to work together, and that is what they said, that when two ions are together, they sharpen one another. And there is something that the couple talked about that I think is wonderful, and I was giving that yesterday to a couple, that how do you know that God did not look at you and say, she needs him, or he needs her, and brought you together because you are so different and you fit in, and now you need to learn how to walk together through that. When you fit in with somebody, there will be a lot of, that's what we call the cleaving. The cleaving is not that easy. It is now you're going to be sharpening each other. But look at it as opportunities for growth, opportunities to get to know you, and opportunities to develop a better relationship.
Well said. I hope we are taking notes on this one, because it has a lot of introspection in there, because it takes two to tango to make that marriage successful. Now, we're about to take another short break here on Your World, but you're talking to us on that hashtag New Normal and letting us know if you are happily married, no, yes, maybe, whichever the case. Paul Waweru says, I'm in Nairobi. Now, you know, right now, there is that option here, Nairobi as a community and having a marriage with all of each other. Eric Kosgei says, senior bachelor here, and I'm happy. Eric, you insist on this one, eh? Ben Tachal says, I'm single and happy. Okay, another person who is single and happy. Stephen Mugambi says, machos too. Oh, pole sana Stephen. Stephen, we're trying to change that with this information we're getting today. Selector says, sasa mbona mnataka kuamsha ulcers? Huku Nairobi mapenzi ni relay. Oi, Engineer Enoch says, mapenzi ni kizungumkuti. Just as it had to say that word. Pole sana. Limo says, marriage is a scam. Is it really? Even as you keep hearing people saying marriage works? Mirera Peter says, now when you're tuko single, tuna vote wapi? Well, it's good to say you're single and why you're still single. Mike Adaka says, let them who are married answer this and give us tips. And that's why we're having this conversation today, because hashtag marriage works is actually real. Rahim says, answering for a friend of a friend. He says, occasionally, especially end month. We hear you loud and clear. Elsie Lawrence says, well. Presence of money makes people happy in their married life. So much money equals to long life. Hey, the stories out there are a little bit different. Money does not equate to happiness. Ryan Beth says marriage works, especially when you marry your best friend, talking to other 50 bachelors. We hear you loud and clear, and friendship is one thing that stands out even in the couples that we are hearing from today. Dora James says, I need a husband, and we pray God blesses you with one. Kanye Leirumbi says, are there people who are happily married? Yes. That has been proven here even as we engage these couples, and would like to hear from you. Remember that hashtag is new normal, and you can also call us using that number at the bottom of your screen. When we come back, we'll talk about integrity, safeguarding the integrity of marriage. And this is where the boundaries are so critical. Some of those boundaries have been touched on, but then again, we know they are breakers in this case, or makers, depending on how you harness those boundaries. We'll be right back.
Go beyond with Kenya's fastest 4G network, Popote. Dial *544# to get your data deal of the day.
Maji mdosi wangu ametupa simu yangu ndani ya maji.
Mdosi wako kwa sawa? Venye Nkirota ameniambia ajui na akimpigia simu ashiki. Hi! Guy! What the?
For the women who deserve more, Moped is now in Kenya and more than 40 countries. With its nylon-free surface, new Moped has unique softness and up to 100% protection. Your skin will love it.
Sasa tuko na successful bidder.
Majina ni Esther Mudhoni Derito kutoka Nakuru County.
Ni namba gani ya Shini na Unique ulitumia kununua hii duthi?
Nilitumia 1488.
Uko na hiyo pesa? Leta. Wow. Hapa takurudishia 22 shillings Haya, kamata, hii ndio receipt yako ya duthi, alafu hii ndio kifunguo yako. Swali ni je, how low can you go? Unaweza enda chini mpaka wapi? Bid now.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, mbiu ya mgambo imelia na hakika kuna ishu nzito.
#1 source of entertainment news, culture, reviews, what's hot and what's not.
Introducing Kwetu Mix.
New year comes with new year deals. Renew your corporate subscription and get a bonus. Subscribe to Nation e-paper for 3 months and get 1 week absolutely free. 6 months and get 2 weeks absolutely free. 1 year and get 3 weeks absolutely free. To sign up, visit epaper.nationmedia.com or email subscription@ke.nationmedia.com. Offer valid till 28th February 2021.
It is Your World. My name is Gladys Gashanja, and the conversation today is about marriage and how to ensure that the couples in this institution actually thrive. And we've had so much from Dr. Keith and Esther Ndindi, Gathoni and Ben Kiruthi, and of course our psychologist Grace Kariuki. And there is something that happened a while back that made everyone wonder if this would ever happen. And here it is. Let's turn our attention to that swapping moment. Remember the couple that actually got swapped? Yes, that was when 2 husbands in Matayos, Busia County decided to switch their wives. NTV revisited the couples to see and hear how life has been since they settled for each other. And guess what? Both the Wabwires and the Barazas are on a smooth sail. Yep, they say no regrets whatsoever.
When we visited Christopher Wabwire's home in Sirova Village, Matayos constituency in Busia County, he was busy with the usual activities of a man in his homestead. But that wasn't our priority here. We were keen to meet his wife 1 year later. Out she came. The same woman he picked from Kevin Barasa about a year ago during the unforgettable swapping of their wives at the end of 2019. The bright smile he wore told it all. He is indeed a happy man. As they settled for this interview in their humble abode, Christopher and Lillian, his wife for the last 1 year, it was clear, or at least it appears, they are making good memories.
Kulingana na maisha yangu, naona nilikuwa mzee wakati ule. Hata ukiangalia tu ile nini ya kwanza, naonekana nilikuwa mzee, lakini sasa mimi ni kijana.
Naishi vizuri. Watoto wangu wanaishi vizuri. Sina tatizo lolote.
Lillian is quick to clarify that she has no regrets since parting ways with her first husband, Kevin Baraza, and these lovebirds have something to show for the time they have been together.
Mtoto naye mimi namtarajia wakati wote. Ile hali naye amepitia changamoto nyingi.
So, how are their former spouses who live in a nearby village of Namwichula within Matayos? This is Kevin Baraza, who made the big switch with Christopher. Kevin took Immaculate Nekesa in exchange for his ex-wife Lillian. Baraza too was very hard at work with the usual husband chores. His beauty queen Immaculate Nekesa joined shortly after from fetching water. Once again, a couple blown away by love. Clearly, their swapped spouses' memories no longer bother them.
Maisha naona ni mazuri na nipeleka sawa. Sioni ugumu wote upande wangu.
Huyu mwanadada mwenye niko naye huyu alimchukua kama bwana wake. Na pia mimi nikamchukua kama bibi yangu. Na zile matendo zenye ananifanyia ule hakuwahi kunifanyia.
Baraza and Immaculate seem full of joy, and they don't seem to be going back. The decision to switch their wives was informed by endless rumors that they were having affairs with each other's wives, then a confession the two had to make before the local administration for this big switch to happen. The two couples have kept in touch as they both need to see their children every so often. Their children did not change homes. The arrangement today is for the corresponding parents to meet their children at the Busia Children's Department at least once a month to follow up on their progress, while awaiting the next course of action when they turn 18. Francis Mutegi, NTV.
So they swapped wives and they're happily married. That does not make sense to many, but to others, if they had a choice, some are saying they would take it. Strange life we're living in today. But then again, is it because of the dynamics of the 21st century in as far as relationships and marriage are concerned? That's what we're trying to understand. But clearly something that has stood out is that the fundamentals that were still apply today. You just need to be ready to walk into this institution, ready to make it work. And speaking of which, we have a phone call. We have Jane joining us from Nyeri. Jane, are you married?
I am. I'm married.
For how long?
That's 3 years.
Okay, congratulations, and we celebrate you. So what have you learned in this journey of marriage? What sustains it?
Number one, I'm a follower of Kate Dindi and the wife, and I'm in Driving Couple. I'm online because I wanted to tell people that sometimes when you feel that you didn't marry the right person, it's good to listen to people who have actually succeeded. I have learned a lot of things from the two lovebirds. And at one time, there's a way they give stories of their past. And I noted that though I kept on saying, I am actually a talker. I am a person who talks a lot. My husband is very quiet. And I like going out. My husband doesn't. Sometimes I felt very disappointed because I would arrange and he doesn't want to go out. I pack and he doesn't want to go. But there are several things I learned from Dindi. That it depends on what you want in marriage. If you want a relationship to last so that you can have children that will also admire what you're doing, then you must understand each other and then fit into the shoes of each other. I salute the Dindis. I think Madame is also my fitness trainer. I know the current situation. I am a principal of a school, by the way. And my girls, I've seen my girls who have married out because the gentleman they have found has a lot of money. They have left their boyfriends. They want to marry someone with a lot of money. So if you go into marriage with that mentality, that you want good life with a lot of money, then you are confused and mistaken. I know the first thing that we used to do during our time, we would marry someone you love, sincere love. Currently, I hear they say there's no love in marriage as long as there's no money. I've just seen a message that you posted.
Yeah.
So once you decide and you agree to tolerate each other and understand each other, I tell you, you will be married even for 60 years.
Okay.
It depends on what you're looking for. I have 3 children. I have never asked them what they think about our marriage. My daughter is married, and I'm looking at her, and I've discovered that her husband has the same qualities with my husband. I mean, she has married someone with qualities of her father. Because possibly there are several qualities that she may have seen in him, and possibly as a wife, there were several problems that I saw in him. But once I started following Dindi and her stories and case, I discovered there's a lot to learn from each other. Marriage actually works. We are at that 3 now, and I'm hoping and praying God will give us many more years. Thank you so much.
Amen to that, Jane, and thank you for sharing your experience. Remember, that number is at the bottom of your screen if you'd like to talk to us in as far as your marriage experience is concerned. And when we went to break, I mentioned that we really need to talk about the boundaries within marriage. And today, one thing, and that Dindi mentioned, that is breaking people is infidelity. The feeling that this is not something that you need to harness or even safeguard in a relationship, that you can have an open relationship even for some. I'd like to understand, Dindi, when do you say that this handshake will not go beyond the elbow? What are your parameters?
All right. Let me take that first. First off, we really believe in the principle that love must be tough. Something that Dr. James Dobson many years ago started to discuss, meaning there has to be a line of respect that must never be crossed for either party. So, and if that line of respect is crossed, then there must be consequences. And so we, as we were courting, we started developing those parameters for ourselves and saying what constitutes for us a real relationship beyond which there must be some consequences. And so we said in our relationship with other people, what are the things we find acceptable and what don't we find acceptable. So I think it is important for every couple to define those parameters for themselves. When it comes to relationships with the opposite gender, the issue that is at hand really is the bottom line, is trust. I have realized that when you can go around in circles, blaming this, blaming that. Usually in our group, a lot of people talk about my spouse always wants to go through my phone. Others say the husband, when you just touch the phone, even if he's showering, he will dive out of the shower just the way he is, you know. Meaning the phone is a very precious item. And the underlying issue there really is the element of trust. What we decided to do for ourselves, my phone, she can access it anytime. She knows all the passwords, everything, including the M-Pesa, the ATM pins and everything. Her phone, the same, we have free access. What that does then is to create an environment where the other partner feels I can trust, and anything I do is in the open space. It's in the open space. But in terms of defining parameters, we like to talk about the analogy of fire. You know, fire is amazing. It's a fantastic item. We use it for cooking. And as guys like to talk about the fire of romance, you know, the passion and keeping the marital bed sizzling. However, fire is only useful when it is within the parameters, in our modern society would say, within the parameters of the cooker in the kitchen. If you take it outside of that space, then that fire becomes destructive. And so we made that choice to say the fire of romance for us is within our marital bed. We keep it there. And if it steps out, it will cause trouble. And so if there is anything, any concern about somebody or a text or anything, then we talk about it because we know from the best, I feel I can trust her. She feels she can trust me. So we look at it as a particular issue and we discuss and talk about it. But I think for couples out there, it is important to realize that if there is something that is very powerful and useful, it can also be very powerful and destructive.
Very well said. I like that. Now to the Kiruthis, there's also the boundaries when it comes to friends and in-laws. This seems to be quite a daunting one, especially for married couples. How do you handle it in your relationship, Ben?
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much for that question. So number one, let me start by the easier one, the friends. Yeah. So it's very important to realize that friends can come in between you two. And the Word of God reminds us that let nothing put them asunder. Let nothing come in between them. And so it is very important for you to realize when you come into the marriage, you come with different friends. She has her friends, I have my friends. And so when you come into the marriage together, it is very, very important for you to be first and foremost very open about whatever friendships or ex-friendships that you had together. And then also, above that also, like what Mr. Ndindi has said, is trust. For you people to be open completely on how you relate to your friends. That means that she has access to my conversations, to my Instagram page. She has access to everything so that now she can be able to know about my friendships. And also, when we began, Gathoni was very categorical about some friends in my life. And so at first I really fought it. I was thinking that she's trying to control me. Yeah. But then at the end of the day, I realized that she was right. That some of the friends in my life had ulterior motives, both men and women. And so for me, is to learn to trust her judgment because she has a sixth sense and she has the Holy Spirit to guide her. And so for me to realize that, for me to be able to keep away from the people that she's not comfortable them being around my life.
Okay. Yes. And how about the in-laws? Let me hear this from Gathoni.
Yes, she's better at handling that.
Yes, it's the woman who knows the wrath.
Yes, 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 yes.
My role as a wife and as a daughter coming into another family is not to have like a contest with my mom-in-law. Is not to have Ben to be the one to tell us this is who comes first before the other in his life. But my role my role is to respect my parents and have to respect them and know that they have their space in our lives, and I have a space in their lives, and that way we have a very nice relationship with my in-laws, and it's been a journey. It's not something that you just wake up to now I know the solution. No, it is something that I have been working on. We have been working on, and slowly by slowly we are finding our footing. So, and it has worked for us. Yes.
Okay, now before we hear from Grace, I hear we have a phone call. Nancy from Nakuru, are you married?
Yeah, I'm married.
How long?
2 years.
2 years, so you're still young at this. What has been your experience thus far?
My experience is nice. And I have a loving husband who we share a lot with each other.
Okay, and what makes him such a loving man to you?
We started being friends. He was very open to me, and I was very open to him. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
2 years on, how is it looking?
It's just nice, and we're expecting our firstborn.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah.
All right. So for those that are listening and wondering if they should get married at all, saying that marriage is a scam, utasemaje?
Hey, mimi za tu sema. It's just nice. The only thing is to understand and to respect each other.
Okay. Thank you for calling in, and we wish you well with the pregnancy and your marriage.
Okay, thank you.
Karibu sana. And I think it has been said over and over again, and different experiences and different stages of marriage, that it indeed works. But you've got to put in the work. Now, Grace, even as we bring this conversation to a close, you start off with all the intentions, you've got all the skills to maneuver marriage, then the distractions of life check in, the finances, the friends, the in-laws, the children. How do you keep the fire burning?
In there. Now, I want to say that one of the things that we need to clarify here is what is love? What is marital love? Now, we know love in a relationship, it goes through phases. Everybody needs to understand that. Let's not be in denial. The romantic love, which is what we call eros love, it ebbs and goes. But the friendship love, which is phileo, that is what is going to govern how you deal with each other when the romance ebbs and goes. And then we hope that you continue to get to know each other and to accept. The acceptance is happening. And I learned something new about you. I'm upset about it. We haggle about it, but we embrace. And I continually embrace you, and you continually embrace me. We enter into agape love, which is where I say, this is my fool. You know, you are foolish, but you are mine. You know, or you are this, but you are mine. So I still will say there are some things I don't like about you. I'm still working through them. But hey, you know what? I'm committed to you. You are my first, you are my end. I am here with you, and we are going the long haul. That's what Daktari was calling the mindset. So you do need to ask the question, why? Why am I getting into this? And you need to understand that you are starting with eros love, and you are developing what we call the phileo love, and eventually we want you to get into the agape love. And the agape love is what 1 Corinthians 13 talks about. And everybody who has a Bible needs to open it and begin to think of that as what marital love is, because it's the unconditional love that usually, takes in you as you are, everything you are. And I am here to influence you. Now, we do say that after people have been married for a while, if they agree, they are working together, they start to look alike. And it's because they are working in agreement. People who are not working in agreement, even if they are together for 20 years, they never look alike. Because you can see the look-alike looks at the way they think. They eventually evolve into thinking in similar ways, even as they respect each other's uniqueness, right? And so we want to kind of understand that. Now, outside influences, friends, in-laws, there is something we call triangulation. And this is how triangulation happens. So I'm here and my husband is over here, and we are having a conflict here. And then, because we cannot talk to each other, we are not able to come together and talk about what is going on. After we have recycled the same situation for a little bit, guess what one of us will do? They will triangulate a third party. So that third party will be a friend, will be a pastor, will be a counselor, will be, the in-laws, parents, or whatever. When you do that triangulation, you need to be very careful, because now once I go and talk to my mother or my mother-in-law about what is going on in my marriage, my stress goes down. I'm okay. But now my mother-in-law might call her son. And when she does, guess what? Now we have another layer of what? Conflict. Now it's not about the issue we were conflicting about, it's about you not respecting my privacy, umeenda kunishtaki. Now we have another layer that we have added. Now when that happens, guess what? I triangulate my sister. You will not believe what happened. Now I talk to my mother-in-law. She went and then another one. So once we begin to triangulate people, then we are creating much more chaos within our life. At the end of the day, let me say this to those people who call parents when they are in trouble. Married couples. Number one, I want to say, when you decide to get married, it is understood that you are an adult and you can deal with your problems. When you go to your parents, what do? They offer you a listening ear. And they will say, Gladys, you go and change here, and you, John, go and change here. And then they will tell them, go and talk and agree, alafu mutuambie. Did they solve anything? So you need to understand, when you are having conflict within your marriage, ask yourself, what is it that we need? Do we need to vent? Do we need to fix? Do we need some skills? Do we need some spiritual guidance? So that now you identify the problem and then you look for the expert who is going to help you. So if I need to vent, then I need to figure out who I'm going to vent to. Who is trustworthy? Who do I need to talk to? Maybe it's a girlfriend or whatever. Now, women are the one who go out more to vent than men will. Now, if you need skills to deal with a recurring issue, before you go to the family, please go to an expert, so that you can say, we have this issue, we have been dealing with it for a year. Please help us, listen to us, look for an objective person. So it's very important for us to even understand, why are we bringing a third party in here? Now, this is the other thing. When we get married, we have friends. You need to identify what value these friends bring into your life. Now, when your spouse says, we have talked about acceptance, being empathetic, like understanding where the other person is coming from. So if my husband tells me, I really am not feeling okay with your friend, this particular friend, before I go into defense, I need to understand where he's coming from. And then, because he doesn't like that friend, or for whatever reason I understand, then we make a decision about how is our relationship going to deal with a friend. We always need to find a space where our relationship is the one which is handling what is happening, what is coming into our garden and causing all these weeds and thorns. We need to always find out, how do we make this problem relational? By listening to the person who brings the complaint, and also bringing the complaint in a way, I'm not criticizing your person, I'm still protecting you. I'm still protecting you. I don't remember the last one you asked.
Okay, the children, because they are part and parcel of this institution for those that are blessed.
Yes. Now, this is the other thing. Remember, you are coming from a context. I'm coming from a context. I have a context of what I want to do as a parent. Again, we've got to listen to one another. How come you do it this way? Tell me, where does that come from? How come you do it this way? Why are you not doing it my way? So let's understand also our values and why the question, why do you do what you do? Not in a criticizing way, but more from a space of understanding. Help me understand. I have observed whenever our son does something, you yell at him. And I don't feel comfortable with that. Can you tell me why you do that? What is your purpose for doing that? What you will find out is maybe your husband will say, I don't want him to be a sissy. So there you know he is trying to train this young man to be strong and to be and not to be weak, not to look weak or whatever it is the sissy means. And so now you and your spouse now know. So the intentions of your husband are clear. But the way that he's doing it is what is a problem. So you don't go with the intention, unadharau mtoto, you are so harsh, you are not going to get anywhere. But ask, tell me more about why. Whenever our daughter does something, you are so nice and, oh, come here, baby, tell me. And me, I just want her to get a kiboko. So we agree, we come into a space, but you can't agree if you don't understand. So that is why when we talk about marriage being work, it's about ego, our egos coming down and us dealing and allowing our super ego to regulate us. So that now I'm coming into this dialogue more to understand than to be understood.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very well said. Well, that is Grace Kariuki, psychologist, marriage and family therapist, Dr. Keith and Esther Dindi, founders Thriving Couples. They've been married for 15 years on the 16th now. Gathoni and Ben Kiruthi, who also have been married for 7 years. Thank you so much for sharing your candid journey in this marriage institutions. And I think you have underscored that hashtag marriage works. Thank you for that. And for those wondering how it works for others and seems not to work for others, I guess you now have skills as to why this actually works. Well, we end it for now, but tomorrow we shall be back as we continue to lay the foundation for the new year, and we shall be focusing on your personal growth in the area of work. Cultivating a good work ethic has been said to be a crucial entity in enhancing credibility, consistency, and growth. So how can you make a good work ethic your compass to your success? We find out tomorrow from 7 a.m. But before I say goodbye, my producer is saying that we still have some feedback coming from you. Are you married? Sharon J. Okoth, and are you happily at that? I'm very happy and comfortable in marriage, and I thank God. We prosper together, fail together, but most importantly, we learn and just adjust positively day in, day out. Joyce Mathenge says, marriage is sweet when you walk together. Amen to that, Joyce. Penuel says, marriage works and it's not because of love, wealth, or possession, but out of sacrifices that one makes. Penuel, we hear you. Richard Munyanya says, thanks for such great advice. You from the couples, you're blessed watching NTV from Kaunga, Mumias, Ingo. Thank you, Richard. Josephat Otiso giving us a last one here. Marriage is beautiful and it works for those who are willing to work it out. 1, be understanding. 2, mutual respect. 3, care for each other. 4, appreciation. 5, be willing to meet in the middle. I'm happily married for 13 years. We celebrate you, Josephat, and thank you for sharing with us. That conversation definitely continues on that hashtag new normal, even as we understand how to make this institution work in the dynamics of the 21st century. Have a wonderful day.